What's up, sons? It's Blind Ride with Son of a Tech once again, and today I'm going to show you how to mine Karlsen hash since the fork to ASIC resistance has gone through at this perceived block time that came a couple days early. Now, everything here should be pretty easy if you are experienced in mining, due to the fact that pretty much the latest Hive update was pushed with the supported miners, so there's no custom flight sheets that are needed, and it should still just use your Karlsen hash address. Now, that being said, I'll show you guys how to set up a wallet and to give you some suggestions as where you can liquidate all that sort of stuff as well, and we will go through that right after this. Welcome back, everyone. So first things first, there was an article or a blog post for their reasoning to make this switch. They referenced my video, the entity, as well as Mine Something 10. There we go. Video, the current state of GPU mining, referencing the unknown entity at the time. Now, of course, pretty much right after this, we did get a release and announcement of who the entity was and their proposed release of GPU miners. Now, that doesn't mean that all of these miners or all of the miners that are being developed by the entity have been announced. There are still other networks that do have unknown hash rate, including Pyron Hash, which recently switched to V2 as well. We'll talk about that in a later video. But the Radiant miners have been launched by Dragon Ball Miner as well as by Ice River. So keep that in mind. That has sort of been alleviated as far as a single entity having 100% of the hash rate. Hopefully that gets dispersed out. But that was the reasoning behind Karlsen Hash making that move. What they decided to go with was a version of the fish hash algorithm developed by the LOL miner developer, and then renaming it to KarlsenHashV2, which made a couple changes specifically for Karlsen Hash. And right now there are two miners that are released that support it, and that is going to be SRB miner as well as Rigel miner. LOL miner has not made a release yet, but in the Discord has said they will be pushing a release here soon, hopefully sometime today. I have tested multiple algorithms or multiple miners, excuse me, as well as multiple GPUs, and we have some kind of insight on the latest GPUs as well that we'll go over the end of the video. Now, if you are looking for essentially a mining pool, there is going to be hero miners for US citizens. Well, a lot of different citizens. There's Asian markets as well as European markets on hero miners. There's also going to be two miners, which has made the update, and they have a little announcement here saying Karlsen hard fork is live ahead of schedule. Please make sure you use Karlsen hash v2 in your miner. So that's kind of their note. If you haven't mined this before, you can go to the wallet.karlsencoin.com for the web wallet. We'll get you up as quickly as possible. I do always recommend a command line wallet or a desktop wallet if you can. If you're going to go with like a Windows desktop wallet, you will have to add in antivirus exceptions in most cases, so it doesn't just delete your wallet information. If you are, and I recommend not putting it on a machine that you do day-to-day financials on or anything like that. If you are going to do a command line wallet, I do have a guide on sonofatech.locals.com, I think specifically for doing Karlsen node and wallet, so you can go check that out over there as well. For today, we're going to cover the web wallet. You'll just need to click the create a new wallet button, type in a password, see if I can do that. That should be enough. We will have to type in something more difficult, so let's go ahead and do that. All right. Oh, and one symbol. Yay. That should do it. All right. And then it's going to give you your 12-word seed phrase. You can either just screenshot this with something like MonoSnap, which I'm going to do for ease of use, and store that in a safe location, whether that be within a encrypted USB drive, which I've gone over in the past, or in an encrypted cloud service like NordLocker, which I've gone over in the past, or you can physically write these down and store them in a fireproof safe, which would be the safest way to do this. Anyways, this is just for example, so I'm going to click next. It will verify that you do have that seed word saved. So at this point, it's going to ask you what the fifth word is. You can look at your screenshot and pick the fifth word. Then it's asking for the ninth word in this particular case. So we're going to find the ninth word and select that. And it's going to ask for the sixth word. We're going to find that and click that, and it'll say great success. And at this point, you will have a wallet address to mine to. In the event that the Explorer goes down or the node that the wallet is contacting goes down, you will have to build your own node or find a new node and connect either a desktop wallet or a command line wallet and connect to that to recover this wallet utilizing your seed phrase. And we can go over that in a later video. If you want to talk about wallet recovery, I can definitely do that. It's something that I haven't done in quite some time. But today we're really talking about mining Karlsen. So this will get you up and running, and you have your seed phrase saved that you can recover at a later date. So let's go ahead and talk about HiveOS. You'll want to go to your farm, and then you'll want to click flight sheets. And at this point, you will have the option to create a new flight sheet. You will select the coin KLS, and then you will select the wallet, click add wallet, go back here, copy the wallet address, paste that into the address phase. I'm going to say this is the tutorial, so I know that everybody has access to this wallet. Then we'll click create. On the pool, you can select hero miners and the closest location. I did have some issues with connections on hero miners earlier this morning. They have apparently been resolved, so we'll move on from there. Now, there are, like I said, two miners that are supported right now, SRB miner and, of course, Rigel miner. Rigel miner only supports NVIDIA, so if you have AMD GPUs, you will be stuck with SRB miner. It's going to be important to click Setup Miner Config, because even if you've updated your HiveOS, which you do have to do to be clear for this to be supported, it will default to KarlsenHash still, and you will have to click in and select KarlsenHashV2 and click Apply Changes. Now, for my particular setup as well, because I do have an AMD CPU in here with an iGPU, I do have to come in and select my specific GPU IDs. So we're just going to do that ahead of time. This is probably something you will not have to do, but it is something that I have to do. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we do not select that particular one. And then you can click create flight sheet. At this point, you can go to your worker and you can select the worker and then select the flight sheet. And so that'll just something like this. We'll look for KLS. And then, of course, we'll need the new one. So it'll be KLS V2, or the new one that we just created, which is this tutorial one. We'll select that, click apply, and then we should be off to the races. Now, to check this, what we can do is either start a Hive shell, or if you're on the same network, you can always just click connect via web shell, and it'll open up. The default password is user and 1 for HiveOS, and you can type in miner and it will open up the miner. It will begin to mine and it will show you essentially what your hash rate's going to be, etc. Right now we have the RTX 4070 Super in here and the AMD Radeon RX 7600. We actually do have some essentially overclocks applied on the 40 series. I am finding that the core at 2010 megahertz with the memory at 2000 megahertz gets us pretty much a good starting point at 42 megahash a second at 122 watts, with the RX 7600 being with the core at 1000, a negative 300 voltage offset, and the memory at 1250. Both of these fall in line as far as being almost identical from the perspective of efficiency. And that seems to be true across the board with all 40 series as well as all of your 7000 series. Now, what I have noticed, and we'll talk about this in the Discord, is that the 6000 series has about the same efficiency as the 7000 series from AMD. So you might be more well advised at purchasing RDNA 2 over RDNA 3 if the prices so fit. That being said, if you are looking at the NVIDIA side of things, there are some pretty clear performance advantages on like a 4070 versus a 3070, albeit, not by a ton. If you're still running on 3000 series GPUs from NVIDIA, I think you're golden as far as this goes. A lot of that has to do with the fact that GDDR6X has been on both the 30 series and the 40 series. And on the AMD side, we've had GDDR6 on both the 6000 series and the 7000 series. There might be some outliers and caveats here. We'll just have to wait and get all of the testing done. This isn't really a testing video, just so you're aware. Now, once you are mining, you can go to your flight sheet here and you can copy your wallet address, and then you can go back to your hero miners here and you can basically scroll down in your stats and payment history, paste the Karlsen address, click the lookup button. It will give you your current hash rate and all of that. It takes a little bit of time to update. Obviously, we have like 60 mega hash on here. It's only showing about 10% of that hash rate. It'll show your pending balance, etc. Once you have a balance in your wallet, you can head on over to essentially some sort of exchange. To find exchanges, you can go to CoinMarketCap and you can search for the coin. Click into the coin, go down to the markets, and you can see different exchanges that it's available on. This is MEXC, XT.com, TradeOgre, and ZegX, with ZegX being my favorite on the state side for the non-KYC options, as well as a good track record. Of course, TradeOgre's track record has been kind of tainted by their kaspa lockdown. When kaspa was going up in price and they locked the wallets, it was a pretty big deal. So I would recommend avoiding them right now. If you're in other geographical locations, MEXC is obviously going to have typically the most liquidity to sell into without impacting the price as much. So just keep all of that in mind. As you can see right now, though, if we look here, it does look like MEXC has the highest sell price, with TradeOgre kind of staying on par and ZegX having a lower sell price at this time. So you can take a look at this. I'll leave the affiliate links down below. It's pretty simple to sell. If you want a specific guide on how to sell different tokens and all of that sort of stuff, we can cover that as well, kind of along the lines of like recovering wallets and so on. That can be in a later video. Now, what I want to do here as well is talk a little bit about some of the performance findings that I have found. If you are interested in the best miner for NVIDIA, you want to basically split your rigs now. So what I mean by that is that on your SRB miner, the performance for NVIDIA appears to be a little bit worse off than it is on Rigel miner. If we take a look at, for example, the Rigel miner overclocks in particular, what you'll notice is on the Rigel miner with the same overclocks, we are at 42 mega hash a second. On the 4070 Super and the 4070 Ti, you'll notice that both of these GPUs actually have essentially the same hash rate and performance numbers. This is going to be important if you are looking at purchasing any new 40 series GPUs. I would presume as well that the 4070 itself vanilla is going to run pretty well as well. So you might want to consider just running a 4070 vanilla because you'll have the same memory and it's going to be a little cheaper if you can find them cheaper. They have gone up. So that's kind of something to take into account as well. So Rigel miner is going to be the go-to. Like I said, your core clocks and all of that sort of stuff for pretty much the entire 40 series, and pretty much at this point, like I stated, you're going to be looking at that 2000 core and 2000 memory. And on the 7000 series, you're going to be looking at 1000 core, negative 300 voltage offset, and 1250 memory, kind of at the top range. What I have noticed is that above essentially above 1200, the 7600X actually begins to consume more power, making it less efficient. So if we took something like the SRB overclock 2 What you'll notice is that we essentially start bumping up in the power on that in particular to 66 watts as opposed to 60 watts. And that actually puts it in the negative range as far as being as efficient. So I would recommend staying around the 1150 on the 7600 XT. But on the 7600, you can push the memory a little bit further and you'll actually get better efficiency numbers. These are all the things that I test. I don't have time to do a full in-depth testing of V2 today, but if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll start plugging in GPUs and testing, and we will get to that later on down the line. So we've had a lot of different cryptocurrencies move to essentially proof of work and recently, and that is, or ASIC resistant proof of work. Let me be clear. And we've had a lot that have just launched ASICs. It has been pretty clear, I think, if you look at the pricing chart, that the move to GPU resistant has not caused an increase in price. While if we take a look at something like Radiant, which recently launched ASICs, you'll see a massive increase in price over the past 7 days. I think this is important to note because it's important to understand that what ASICs are doing is creating more capital for that particular cryptocurrency and is getting injected with obviously all of the research and development and manufacturing of new products. It's not arguably as decentralized, obviously, which is part of the problem, but it would be amiss to not point these things out. If your pure goal is to just purchase cryptocurrency and watch the number go up, then ASICs can be your safe bet. I think over the long term, though, that's going to change quite a bit. And it really depends on which projects get adopted and utilized the most. And I think once you have more decentralization, you have a wider adoption pool, albeit not one big entity injecting a bunch of money into the project. You have multiple small entities injecting money into the budget. From a GPU miner's perspective, if you are a larger GPU miner, it's something to take into consideration of basically playing the same game that the ASIC manufacturers play, but with the GPU mineable coins. Something to think about. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next Tuesday.